Have you ever found yourself, phone in hand trying to capture something amazing, but it just feels clunky, a bit separate from the moment?
Oh, definitely. Or like wishing you could just think a command and your tech would just do it.
Exactly. It's such a common feeling, right? Our technology is incredibly powerful,
Hmm.
but it often still feels like this external tool, not really a seamless part of us.
It absolutely does. And that feeling, it's really at the core of this massive shift that we're seeing right now. We're moving beyond simple convenience, into something way deeper,
Yeah.
a true convergence.
And that is precisely what we're going to unpack today here on Tomorrow Unveiled. Welcome, everyone. This is our deep dive into the frankly transformative world of wearable technology. We're calling this theme Strapped In.
Hmm.
And our mission today is really to explore how these wearables are moving way beyond just, like, tracking your steps. They're becoming these integral extensions of who we are, creating a genuinely seamless human-computer integration.
Yeah, and when our dedicated research team compiled all the latest findings, three core areas really jumped out. They seem to be defining this future of human-computer interaction.
Okay, what are they?
Well, first, AI-driven eyewear. Second, direct neural interfaces, brain-computer interfaces. And third, these incredibly advanced multi-sensory haptic systems. And these aren't just small tweaks. They feel like fundamental building blocks for a totally new way of living with technology.
Okay, so let's get into this revolution then, starting with what a lot of people are calling the next big computing battleground, your face. The head is rapidly becoming this major platform, it seems. But the new smart glasses are showing really different strategies, aren't they?
That's a great observation, and it's one of the clearest takeaways from the research we looked at. What's emerging is this fascinating split, two main paths.
Right.
On one side, you've got companies focusing on what our team's calling ambient AI. They're basically trying to weave tech seamlessly into our existing digital lives, extending the smartphone experience we already have.
Making it more convenient hands-free.
Exactly. But then there's this other, honestly, much more ambitious vision bubbling up, immersive computing. This hints at like a true augmented reality future, something that could potentially replace the smartphone screen altogether.
Okay, let's tackle that ambient AI path first, because that's kind of already here, right? Like the recent Xiaomi AI glasses launch. They seem positioned as a strong mass market contender.
Yeah, that's right.
My understanding is they're screenless, focusing heavily on that hands-free convenience, deep integration. What makes them stand out on a practical level?
Well, their practicality and sort of subtle power are really impressive. They've packed in a dual chip system, includes Qualcomm's Snapdragon AR1 Gen 1,
Yeah.
and is a 12 megapixel Sony camera, pretty good, that shoots 2K video.
Right.
But it's the sort of thoughtful details that impress, like optional electrochromic lenses. They can switch tint in just zero point 0.2 seconds, super fast.
Oh, like transition lenses, but instant.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. And for audio, there's a 5 microarray plus bone conduction sensors. It means your voice should come through clearly, even if it's noisy around you. Open ear speakers too, so you can still hear the world.
And practicality-wise, I heard the battery life on these Xiaomi glasses is a big deal. Something like 8.6 hours of typical use. That sounds significant.
It really is. It's a bit of a game changer, actually. That 263 milliamp silicon carbon battery, it gives significantly more runtime than a lot of the competition. And it's all strategically integrated as this ambient AI device.
Right.
It ties deeply into Xiaomi's HyperOS. Think of that as their operating system, like iOS or Android. So you get seamless control over your phone, your smart home stuff. And the market reaction in China, it was huge. Nearly 50,000 units sold in the first 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah, that kind of immediate success really validates this whole ambient category. People seem ready for it.
Okay, so that's one clear direction evolution extending the phone. But then we pivot to the leaks about Meta Celeste or Hypernova. This sounds completely different, like a massive leap towards true AR. How does it compare?
It's a really stark contrast. Xiaomi's extending the phone subtly. Meta's Celeste, from the leaks our team analyzed, is rumored to have an integrated display. It projects visual info directly into your line of sight.
So you're actually seeing digital stuff overlaid on the real world.
Exactly. This isn't just hands-free convenience anymore. It's about fundamentally changing how you perceive and interact with digital information. But the really transformative bit, it's the rumored electromyography EMG wristband controller. codename Series.
Okay, electromyography, EMG.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds complicated. Can you break that down? How does that wristband work, and why is it such a big deal?
Sure. So EMG basically reads the tiny electrical signals your muscles generate when your brain tells them to move. The Series wristband could actually read the neural signals traveling down your arm to your hand, maybe even before you make a visible gesture. Yeah. So it could interpret incredibly subtle hand movements, maybe even just the intent to move. It offers this potentially silent, really intuitive control method, kind of like a thought-to-action interface for the world around you.
That's mind-bending.
It is, and Meta's ambition here seems crystal clear from the research. They're not just aiming for an upgrade, they want to build an entirely new computing paradigm, one that, yeah, could eventually replace the smartphone screen.
And they're aiming high-end.
Seems like it. Targeting early adopters, developers. The rumored price point is somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500, so definitely not mass market initially.
So this clear split our research team found is really evident. Ambient AI, like Xiaomi Evolutionary, extends the phone. Immersive computing, like Meta's potential Celeste Revolutionary, building a whole new platform.
Precisely.
And it's not just them. We're also seeing niche stuff pop up, like those Oakley Meta HSTN smart glasses for athletes. Hands-free recording, contextual info, pre-orders apparently start July 11, 2025.
Yeah.
It just shows how broad this field is becoming.
It really does. And, all these devices, especially the more ambitious ones, they push this fundamental question. How deeply can we actually integrate technology with ourselves?
Yeah.
And that leads us straight into the next major pillar from our research, the truly profound advancements in direct neural interfaces, brain-computer interfaces, BCIs. They're moving so fast from science fiction future gazing to actual tangible reality that's impacting lives.
And the huge news here has got to be Neuralink's summer update, right? Their telepathy platform, focusing on motor control and speech. It's just, well, it's hard to even comprehend sometimes.
It really is.
My understanding is the N1 implant goes into the motor cortex, reads neural signals, translates them into digital commands. But the human story is coming out of this. They're incredibly powerful, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. The research highlights two just incredibly moving examples. First, Nolan Arbaugh. He's quadriplegic. Through the implant, he's regained this remarkable digital autonomy. He's playing Mario Kart, Call of Duty, just with his thoughts. And he put it best himself. He said, "The things that I'm able to do on this computer now should not be possible with me in my situation." It's more than just games, It's restoring agency, independence.
Wow. And then there's Alex, a former automotive tech with a spinal cord injury.
Yeah, Alex. He's now using the BCI to operate professional-grade CAD software, designing things, and playing Counter-Strike 2, apparently quite well.
That way.
He shared this thought. Taking an idea, putting it as a design, and actually having a physical item as a finished product makes me feel like I'm building things again. It's not just about function, it's restoring purpose, that connection to his past life.
That's deeply moving. And Neuralink isn't stopping there, right?
Yeah.
The roadmap is even more ambitious.
Exactly. They're planning to decode intent speech, basically, understanding the words someone intends to say by the end of 2025.
Yeah.
That would allow for full communication.
Wow.
And beyond motor and speech, there's the blind sight platform. The goal here is audacious. Bypass the eyes and optic nerve completely, write visual information directly onto the visual cortex. Artificial sight.
Artificial sight. So the initial goal for blind sight is 2026, maybe low res, like Atari graphics, perception. But the long-term vision, superhuman vision, infrared.UV, that sounds like science fiction.
It does, but it's already received breakthrough device designation from the US FDA. That's a massive step, showing regulators see the potential. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Could these interfaces eventually unlock capabilities we haven't even dreamed of for everyone?
It's an incredible thought. And the tech enabling this, the N1 implant is tiny, coin-sized, but has over 1,000 electrodes.
Yeah, and they have a custom surgical robot that implants them 11 times faster than traditional methods. They're even talking about a Moore's law for neurons, like how computing power grew exponentially. They want to exponentially increase electrode channels for deeper brain integration. It's ambitious is an understatement.
And it's not just Neuralink, is it? Our research team found other interesting developments, too.
Definitely. There's fascinating work on flexible brain electronic sensors for non-invasive BCIs. We've seen reports of Chinese teams restoring leg movement in paralyzed patients using interfaces. Plus, companies like BrainCo are already marketing headsets, claiming to help with conditions like autism, ADHD, insomnia. The whole field is just exploding.
It really is. If you're listening on a podcast service like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, we'd be incredibly grateful if you could take a moment to leave us a rating and review for Tomorrow Unveiled. It genuinely helps us reach new listeners and share these kinds of insights.
Absolutely. Every review helps.
Okay, so from the incredibly intricate workings of the brain, let's shift focus to another critical frontier for human tech integration, our skin. And the really exciting developments in multisensory haptics. We're talking moving way beyond just a simple buzz in your pocket.
Right. Forget simple vibrations. We're talking about creating genuinely rich, nuanced touch feedback. And a key breakthrough our team highlighted here comes from Northwestern University, their FOM actuator.
FOM actuator, what is it?
It's this tiny millimeter scale device. It uses miniature magnetic actuators to apply really dynamic, programmable forces to the skin. Things like pressure, stretching, sliding, even twisting. It's designed to replicate complex human touch sensations. It's a huge leap forward.
Wow, okay, so not just buzzing, actual feelings. That means we're heading towards true multisensory haptics then, using different methods.
Exactly. Our research points to several approaches. There's polymeric actuation using smart polymers that change shape or texture, fluidic actuation using pressurized air or liquid within textiles like in a vest or glove, and even thermal actuation rapidly heating or cooling points on the skin, all working together to create much more realistic tactile sensations.
That sounds incredible, like feeling the texture of virtual fabric or the heat from a virtual fire.
Potentially, yes. And what this all leads towards is a concept our team flagged as bodily integrated interfaces. It's this novel idea where the user's own body becomes part of the input-output hardware.
How does that work?
Well, imagine using, say, electrical muscle stimulation, EMS, to subtly guide your movements in VR, or maybe provide force feedback when you interact with a virtual object. This could lead to much smaller, lighter wearable devices because some of the hardware is essentially you, and potentially much faster reaction times.
So it's becoming really clear, isn't it? Advanced haptics, that's the output, the feeling, and BCI is the input, the thought or intent. They're really two sides of the same coin.
That's a great way to put it. They're both aiming for this high bandwidth, two-way street, a bidirectional interface directly with our nervous system. Imagine feeling a virtual object perfectly while manipulating it just by thinking about it. That's the kind of symbiotic future these technologies are pointing towards.
And these aren't just lab experiments anymore. Our research confirms they're unlocking really powerful applications across loads of different sectors, right? Starting with healthcare and accessibility.
Absolutely. The life-changing impact of BCIs on motor function and communication, we saw that with Nolan and Alex. It's already happening.
And beyond that, blind sight for vision restoration is on the horizon. Haptics could provide amazing sensory substitution. Think of a virtual cane for someone visually impaired using touch to navigate. Or aiding post-stroke rehab, providing feedback for prosthetic limbs.
Right. And we're even seeing government pushes, like the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services encouraging wearable health device adoption for continuous monitoring glucose, heart rate, things like that. It's really starting to transform patient care.
Okay, what about productivity? The industrial side.
Huge potential there, too. AI glasses could become these indispensable workplace assistants. Imagine real-time transcription and summarization of meetings happening right in your view, or live, two-way translation in like 10-plus languages instantly.
Wow.
Or industrial workers getting schematics overlaid on their view hands-free. Big efficiency and safety gains. And Alex's CAD work. That shows BCIs enabling incredibly high-precision digital creation.
And haptics fit in here, too.
Definitely. Think teleoperation remote surgery, maybe, or handling hazardous waste. Haptics bring that crucial sense of touch to environments where people can't physically be. Plus, high-stakes training simulations, pilots, surgeons making them far more realistic. And our analysis also noted things like Neuralink, enhancing professional apps with neural gesture control, turning small hand movements into complex commands.
Okay, so healthcare, industry.
Yeah.
What about us regular consumers? Entertainment, communication.
Oh, the potential there is immense. Neuralink patients playing complex games with their thoughts. That hints at the ultimate gaming interface. The immersion could be just total.
Goodbye controllers.
Maybe eventually. And AI glasses. They enable totally new kinds of first-person content creation, vlogging your life seamlessly, or having FPV first-person view video calls that feel like you're truly there with the other person.
Yeah, that sense of presence.
Exactly. And multisensory haptics. Our research team really sees this as the missing piece for truly immersive VR and AR. Feeling the texture, the weight, even the temperature of digital objects. That's what will finally bring virtual worlds fully to life in a way we've only really dreamed about until now.
It all sounds incredibly exciting, almost utopian in some ways.
Yeah.
But with such deep integration comes some equally deep challenges and concerns, right?
Absolutely. The research team flagged these very strongly. With AI-powered smart glasses becoming more common, for instance, we run headfirst into significant privacy and security issues.
This is what you called the bystander problem earlier.
Exactly. Devices like the Xiaomi AI glasses with their discrete cameras, mics, they can capture people in public who haven't consented, maybe haven't even noticed they're being recorded. That little notification light, it just doesn't equal informed consent.
Right. It creates huge legal and ethical gray areas, especially under rules like GDPR in Europe. There's this fundamental asymmetry, isn't there?
Yeah.
The user gets empowered, but bystanders, society,
Yeah.
they often get disempowered.
Precisely. And our findings point to major data risks, too. Who owns the vast amounts of personal and environmental data these things collect? Video, audio, location. It's a huge amount of sensitive information. And there's a real power imbalance, though.
Okay, that's eyewear. But when we talk about direct neural interfaces like Neuralink, we're getting into even deeper ethical waters, aren't we? The ethics of the mind itself.
We really are. Profound questions about cognitive liberty. You know, the basic right to control your own thoughts becomes startlingly real. Our research clearly indicates risks of potential manipulation and definitely a blurring of the lines between human consciousness and machine intelligence. Where does one end and the other begin?
And the privacy of brain data, neural data, it has to be the most sensitive data imaginable.
It absolutely is. The team's analysis highlighted that even Nolan Arbaugh, Neuralink's first patient, publicly asked that vital question. Who does the neural data belong to? A breach of that kind of data, it would be catastrophic.
And the security of the implants themselves, the idea of them being hacked.
It's terrifying. The prospect of stealing thoughts, injecting false sensory information, blackmail based on neural data, even manipulating someone's motor control. These aren't just sci-fi plots anymore. They're real security considerations we have to address head on.
And then there's Neuralink's long-term mission to talk about human enhancement. That raises a huge societal flag, doesn't it? The risk of an enhancement divide.
It does. If access to these potentially radical capabilities is limited, perhaps by wealth, our research suggests it could absolutely create this profound societal chasm, a split between the enhanced and the unenhanced. It's a major long-term ethical consideration.
So huge ethical questions, but there are also just practical barriers to adoption, right?
Oh, for sure. Technical hurdles, biological ones. Power consumption, especially for advanced haptics, is still a big challenge. Comfort, durability of wearables. And for invasive BCIs like Neuralinks, long-term biocompatibility and reliability are paramount. We saw that electrode retraction issue with their first patient. They say they've mitigated it, but it highlights the ongoing biological challenges.
And ecosystem lock-in, like needing Xiaomi's OS for the full glasses experience.
Yeah, that's another barrier our team noted. The full potential often requires deep integration into a specific company's ecosystem, which is fine if you're already bought in, but it creates platform lock-in, fragments the market, and limits choice for consumers. It all comes back to that underlying asymmetry we identified. Consent for one, consequences for many. It feels like a systemic design issue that needs careful thought for long-term success.
It really does.
Yeah.
You know, for our listeners on YouTube, if you're finding this discussion insightful, please do take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Tomorrow Unveiled, and definitely turn on notifications so you never miss an update on where the future is heading.
Yeah, we appreciate the support.
Okay, so looking ahead then, as we think about the near-term future, what are the key takeaways? Our research team identified 3 dominant trends shaping wearables, right?
That's right. 3 big ones to watch. First, ambient AI is really going to become truly wearable, moving subtly beyond just being an extension of our phones. It'll be more integrated.
Okay.
Second, BCIs are undeniably making that jump from the lab into real life. We're seeing tangible, impactful applications already, and that's only going to accelerate.
And third?
Third, sensory feedback is evolving fast, moving beyond simple buzzes to rich, multisensory haptics, creating those nuanced touch experiences that, until recently, were pure science fiction.
So, painting a picture for, say, the next 12 to 24 months, what do our projections suggest we'll actually see?
Well, for AI eyewear, expect more competition in that ambient AI space, but also likely the launch of the first truly high-end actual AR glasses, probably like Meta's Celeste, initially targeting developers and those early adopters.
And for BCIs.
Highly probable that Neuralink significantly expands its clinical trials, and we might even see the first regulatory approval for a commercial medical device, likely their telepathy system. That would pour fuel on the fire for investment across the whole BCI field.
Makes sense. And advanced haptics.
We fully expect haptics to become a key differentiator in XR extended reality. Premium VR and AR devices will increasingly need to incorporate complex touch feedback to deliver that feeling of true presence. It'll fundamentally change how we interact with virtual spaces.
When you look at them separately, AI glasses, brain implants, haptic vests, they might seem like distinct innovations. But if you connect the dots, look at the bigger picture our research paints. What's really fascinating is how they seem to be converging. They look like the foundational building blocks for a completely new, maybe post-screen computing paradigm.
That's exactly the convergence we're seeing. It's not just isolated tech anymore.
Which leads us to the ultimate question, really, for all of us. How ready are we to be truly strapped into this future?
That's the question. And we genuinely love hearing your thoughts on all this rapidly evolving tech. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on your favorite podcast app, please leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the future of wearables and this deep human-computer integration.
Thank you so much for joining us on Tomorrow Unveiled. We look forward to exploring the future with you again next time.